Good evening. Welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission meeting of Thursday, May 9th, 2024. Hearings before the Historic Preservation Commission are quasi-judicial in nature. This is a design review process to determine if the proposed project is congruous with the special character of the historic district or landmark. Decisions of the Commission are based on the record of these proceedings, the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, and the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. Evidence submitted to the Commission for review becomes part of the record. Appeals of Commission decisions are to the Wilmington Board of Adjustment and then to the Superior Court and are based on the record. Appeals must be filed within 30 days of the date of the Commission's action. Evidence is received during the evidentiary hearing portion of an agenda item. Those who want to address the Commission are sworn as witnesses to present material and substantial evidence to the Commission. The Chair recognizes those who want to submit such evidence during the evidentiary hearing. Evidence should be directed to the Commission. To ensure that the evidence is properly recorded, please come to the podium in the hall to address the Commission, state your name and address, and speak clearly. A brief reminder that members of the Historic Preservation Commission, are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the City Council. Our charge is with respect to the protection and preservation of properties in the city's designated historic district. We are held to the standards of the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks and per applicable North Carolina state law to determine if exterior changes are congruous with the special character of the city's historic districts. It is important that we deliberate the merits of each request in a manner that provides a record as to the basis for our decisions. Please remember that our deliberations should be centered on how a project meets the design standards and whether the proposed change is congruous or is not congruous. Commissioners, if you have received or been made aware of any outside evidence related to any of the matters, please recuse yourself. At this time, I would like to request that all cell phones be turned off or put in silence mode. Thank you for that. And I would like to introduce staff. Whitley Stavich, Assistant City Attorney, welcome. Brian Chambers, Assistant Planning Director. Jessica Baldwin, Senior Historic Preservation Planner. Megan Basic, Associate Planner. And Amy Bradshaw, Planning Coordinator. And then if I could have commissioners introduce myself. Stage left, please.
Joan Keston.
Allison Watts.
I'm Christopher Yermel.
Ashley Wilson.
Thank you. At this time, staff will swear in witnesses that will be speaking this evening.
If I could have all staff, applicants, and members of the public who are planning to speak this evening, please stand up and raise your right hand. I'm sorry, y'all applicants? Okay, you need to stand up and be sworn in. All right. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
First order of business will be to approve the meeting minutes from April 11th, 2024. Are there any changes required, or can we approve that as noted? All in favor? Or, I'm sorry, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. And then I think our first order of business then is 323 South 4th Street, please.
Three 323 South 4th Street. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of Nunn and South 4th Streets. It is a contributing resource to the Historic District Residential. Revisions to all facades of the building and the site are subject to design review within this district. The Sutton Bergen House, built circa 1850, is a two-story, 5-bay wide, simplified Greek Revival style dwelling. The dwelling features an asphalt shingle gable-end roof, brick foundation, clapboard siding, 6/6 sash windows with a simplified architrave trim and a full-width one-story front porch. The porch's hip roof is supported by square posts with simplified bases and capitals. The central entry has a paneled door with divided light transom and side lights. Centered on the north and south elevations are two interior end chimneys, and at the Northeast corner of the first story of the rear facade is a set of 4 French doors with divided lights. Adjacent to the southeast corner of the dwelling is a stucco-clad accessory structure with a flat roof. The lot is raised above the public right-of-way with a short boundary wall located along the south and west property lines. The applicant proposes to install a new 2-foot-high picket fence set directly behind the existing boundary wall. The proposed fence will follow the South 4th Street property line and the Nunn Street property line. The proposed fence will have 2-inch pickets and 4-inch posts set 5 feet apart and constructed of yellow southern yellow pine. The applicant proposes to construct a new driveway. The proposed new driveway will be 10 feet wide by 37 feet 6 inches long. The proposed new driveway will be set back 6 feet from the side north property line and will require the removal of 10-foot portion of the existing boundary wall. The proposed driveway will have boundary walls constructed perpendicular to the existing boundary wall on either side of the cut. These walls will be approximately 10 feet long and are highlighted here in yellow. The proposed new driveway will have a concrete apron at the plaza along 4th Street, and this apron cut will be 10 feet wide to 13 feet wide. The proposed driveway will have a 6-foot wide concrete border with white river rock infill. The proposed driveway will have a white picket double gate installed to match the proposed picket fence. The applicant proposes to install a brown river rock pathway between the driveway and the existing brick walkway, and to continue that pathway into a proposed patio-type area feature in the southern portion of the front yard. One existing oak tree will remain on the property near the driveway, highlighted in yellow here. New redwood, live oak, and magnolia trees will be planted in the front yard along with a variety of other approved plants. The existing tree, I just said that. There's also an existing cherry laurel oak on site, and the applicant has not identified it on the drawing shown here, and it is not known to staff if it will be removed. Staff has reviewed the impacts of the driveway on the existing laurel oak tree and its critical root zone. According to the city arborist, as long as the applicant uses gravel and does not dig deeply around the tree should be protected. Staff notes that Design Standards Section 2.4, Standard 8 states that new driveways should not be constructed where they have not existed historically. If a new driveway is permitted, it should only provide access to a parking area at the rear of the lot. Staff notes that it is not historical documentation of a driveway in this location of the property. Staff also notes that a driveway for the property is located on Nunn Street, though currently blocked by the attached shed mentioned in the description. Staff would like to enter its presentation and report into proceedings. Any questions?
Any questions for Jessica?
Will the driveway like slope up to kind of make up for that? Since it is raised a little bit, is the driveway going to slope?
That is our understanding, yes. But the applicant's here to clarify.
Any other questions? Thank you. I'm sorry, what is next? The evidentiary, the calls from the public? Okay, I'm sorry. Is the applicant in attendance that would like to come up and speak to this? Okay. Nothing more to add or take away? I have a question for you. You have a water meter and a clean out for your waistline right in the path of this. How do you, I'm just curious how you plan on dealing with those two items.
Vice Chair Yermal, I'm sorry, can I have him state your name
Oh,
and address officially, and then you can answer the question?
Brian Morse, 323 South 4th Street.
And step closer to the microphone.
Okay, thank you. Both of those, the clean out, we've had the builder or the proposed landscaper has had the people come and they verified that the water meter is down low enough where it will not be need to be put deeper. It's underneath the level where the grade would be for the driveway to come in.
So the
both of
new cover will be
the new cover will be
flush with the surface of the apron.
It'll be flush with the surface, and it'll be what's the word I'm looking for? The traffic grade.
Rated, yeah.
Traffic graded, yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be flush with the driveway.
Okay. I was just curious about that when I went by there today.
Thank you.
I have a question. Why would you want to be on 4th Street rather than on Nunn with a driveway?
We don't have any place to go from Nunn for the driveway
Because
to
there's
go.
a construction, there's a building back there. isn't there?
Exactly, and that was put in place prior to our owning the home. Yeah, that's where the existing driveway did. It went into the back before they put that shed there. We proposed the driveway would be enough for two of our cars, so both of the cars would be in there. So what would take place would we be, with the driveway, we'd lose one parking spot, but 2 cars would come off the road on our street.
I see. Ashley, any questions? Any questions?
You're proposing, you're going to take out all of this, and there's a curb cut right there,
Correct.
and you're going to take out all of that and put in a driveway right here, go over the sidewalk to park.
Yep, and they came out, they had, county employee or city employee came out. We had to verify that when we dig it out, that the sidewalk will be in fact 6 inches deep for, traffic grade. So they'll have to understand that once they excavate there, if that's gonna need to be repoured.
I just, okay. That's all the
Anything else?
questions I
You sure?
have.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think we're set. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could ask if there are any members of the public that would like to speak in favor or against this proposal? Seeing none, we'll close the evidentiary hearing and move to commissioner deliberation on the matter.
I just, I worry about cutting in driveways into these older homes, in the street, in the front. I don't think it's,
Ms. Wilson?
I don't think it's in the historic purview of the nature to park in the front. I think, they were alleys or on the side or whatever. I think it takes away from the nature of the historic homes in the neighborhood.
If you'd like to speak to this for a minute? Sure.
Still Brian Morris, 323 South 4th. There's 3 homes on our block. The other 2 homes have driveways that are already there, and they were built prior to ours. So we are following what our neighbors have in place for their homes, which are actually older homes. There's an 1832 and a 1840, but those have their driveways that would be on the same entryway on 4th Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not new to that block.
But they park on the side, they don't park in the rear?
They park on the side. The driveways only go to the side.
Yeah, that's the negative. It's more that not that there's a driveway, but the cars will be right up front. And I understand the other houses do that.
I think it's unfortunate that the shed was built kind of where the driveway was. I think that's kind of the more desirable location for the driveway. But I understand the need for off-street parking, so I'm kind of torn.
Thank you.
Other thoughts on this besides Ashley?
I just think that on the side or in the back is more appropriate to, it'd be like me just saying, I'm just gonna park my cars in the front yard. I think on the side or in the back is more appropriate to the historic district. I don't see any, are there any pictures showing on that street, pictures of them parking in the front yard?
There are no pictures in the packet, but when I drove down 4th Street today and kind of took note of other things in this part of the historic district residential, I actually was a bit surprised to see as much as I did that match this proposal. They're all up and down the street, and you can see some are more contemporary than others. Some have been there for a long time. Others, it looks like it's relatively recent work, like within decades at least, where these things have been done all along there. I found that noteworthy when I kind of did that little survey today myself. I do have maybe this was, we could ask you a question. I am curious about the ability for this driveway to be on the side. Tell me again why that's not feasible for you? For it to be on the side of the street coming, it would be coming off the street toward the north?
There's a cinder block shed.
Oh, that shed is, okay.
Yeah, that's a cinder block shed, yeah.
I
With a-
remember when that came before us. The shed.
Shed.
There used to be a pool in that backyard, apparently, what we found out as well.
I saw that
Yeah.
in the description of the project,
Right,
that
so
there was a fiberglass in-ground
There
pool.
was a fiberglass in-ground pool from what we've heard, and they removed that, and then after that, they put that shed there. 2 owners ago, I believe it was. One of the other things that we'll be doing is the grading is not correct on the back there at either, so we're gonna have to run drainage from the back underneath the shed, et cetera, so there's actually additional substantial cost to get the
Oh, that sounds like
grading
fun.
correct as well to drain properly. We get a kind of a swamp action going on back there. It collects all of it, so that's another piece that we're gonna have to be doing.
Okay.
The back.
Yeah, right in the backyard. Yep, so the drainage is gonna have to come out to the street through that way, so we're gonna have to have grading, lift up the under part of the shed and run French drains and lines underneath the shed to get the water to remove from the backyard to keep standing water from happening.
Okay.
They didn't take grading into account, and we have a lot of grading. In fact, the whole front yard, the whole side, the whole house needs to be graded. Everything is going this way, and we need to get it
The wrong way,
back,
yeah.
yeah, back where it needs to be. There's been a lot of exterior work. There was a lot of interior work that was done on the home. The landscaping was something that none of the homeowners had gotten to on the restoration of this property. So that's what we're trying to do is we worked very hard to keep, we understand what you're talking about regarding the parking on the side. As like I said, we noticed every home on 4th Street has the identical 4th Street parking that's on the side of their home. But making the garden, bringing the fence back, those types of things are historical, and all the plants that we did were native, et cetera, so to make sure we're as like as it could be to the 1850s timeframe.
Have you considered tearing the shed down and putting the driveway back there, or is that a
You're
major
talking
job?
about moving the shed, why wouldn't you just take it down or
Oh, no, well,
completely
no,
move it?
we're not moving the shed. It's a cinder block structure where we're gonna have to take the boards off the ground and dig underneath to run it there. So, but no, we haven't considered removing the shed at this point in time. That's the only storage that's on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
When I was reading this packet for this application, and standard 2.4, standard 8, it speaks to if new driveways are installed, you go to the back of the building. And I was prepared to have a certain thought about this, but then when I drove around the district today, honestly, and I thought about livability and having off-street parking, I think it's important to have improvements for livability and off-street parking. Further, this is a relatively semi-permanent installation, so in the future, it's not that difficult if a future owner wants to undo this. It won't take that much effort to undo it and make it like it is. Lastly, like I said, driving up and down the street, I was struck by, in the district here, in this historic district residential, how prevalent this parking was. And if it's done well and it's relatively impermanent or semi-permanent, I personally don't have any objection to it. Joan, any other thoughts?
I don't know, it's a hard one, because I sympathize with the side of having off-street parking, but it's such a balanced, symmetrical house that putting a driveway in there just destroys the whole feeling of the front. And I don't know what, there are a lot of places downtown that have the side, but sometimes it doesn't interfere with the symmetry of the house as much as this one would. So that's really hard to, it's a hard.
And I think there's an option to go on the side too. And
To go farther back or off the side coming from the south behind the house? Like extending this same proposed design or coming around from
around from the other side.
if they demolish this shed, you mean?
I think the corner lot kind of is part of that symmetry. Like, so many of those houses kind of in the middle of the street, it's like house parking, and that has like its own rhythm. And I think the corner makes it kind of a little bit unique.
And the style of the house.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'll say it again, it's not a permanent installation. It seems like it fits with other properties there. Joan, I hear what you're saying about symmetry and things like that. To me, it doesn't smack of making something asymmetrical on this particular proposal myself, but.
And I see a lot of landscaping, maybe it can be kind of, I don't know, I feel like that's one of the tricks to making the
That's true.
parking kind of less like you're in the front yard if there's trees and it's a little more hidden. So that's another kind of.
Yeah, it provides, it does, yeah, that's a good point. It provides some balance and obfuscates some of this change. Would someone like to make a motion on this? I don't know what else we can say about it.
I move to approve with conditions the installation of a new driveway. Oh, do I need a second? Major landscaping and construction of a fence on a corner lot.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Okay, details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in the staff report 1 through 5. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington design standards for historic districts and landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential. Applicable design standards 1.6, Secretary of the Interior standards 1 through 5, 2.1 landscaping standards 1 through 8, 10, 2.2 public right-of-way standards 1, 3, 7, 8, 2.3 fences and walls standards 1 through 9, 11, 2.4 walkways, driveways, and off-street parking standards 1 through 6, 8, 10, 12.
I second that. All in favor? Aye? Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion does not pass then. Um, 8 Market Street, second agenda item.
The subject property is located on the south side of Market Street between South Water and South Front Streets and is a contributing resource to the Central Business District Historic District overlay. Only that which can be seen from the public right-of-way, excluding alleys, is subject to design review in this overlay. The Sampson Building, built circa 1860, with significant alterations in 1925, is a 2-story brick commercial building with paired 6/6 sash second-story windows and simulated divided light fixed first-story windows. To the east of the fixed windows is a recessed full-light entry door, and to the west is a half-light door with a 9-light pattern and a transom. The upper story windows have brick sills and denticulated lintels The rear facade facing Quince Alley features two 2-over-2 sash windows with brick sills on the second story and a metal double door on the first story. The front facade was heavily altered in 1925 and determined to have lost original character by the 1979 survey, but is still listed as contributing. The applicant seeks approval for the after-the-fact removal of the existing windows and door along the front facade. This includes 4 wooden fixed doors with 16 divided light pattern and the 1 wooden half-light door with a 9-light pattern. 1 window opening is located in the recessed front entry and faces east. Staff also notes that between 2019 and 2022, the decorative lintel was removed and replaced or cladded over with wood. The applicant seeks approval for the after-effect installation of windows, which were 4 Pella and Perva fiberglass, full light, measuring 36 inches wide by 72 inches high. They are fixed windows that are installed on the front north facade with 1 window in the recessed front entry. And the after-fact installation of the 1 Rela-built 6-panel solid core unfinished pine wood slab door measuring 36 inches wide by 80 inches high, which is installed in the existing westernmost door opening on the front north facade. The existing storefront prior to the after-fact work was not original to the property, and as previously shown, between April 2019 and July of 2022, the denticulated lintels have either been removed or cladded over. Staff issued a stop work order on February 1st of 2024 for the removal of the windows without a COA. Due to the need to enclose the space and operating a business within the building, staff allowed the temporary installation of the current windows. The majority of windows along the south side of Market Street are wood, not fiberglass. The building, though having major alterations, is considered contributing to the local historic district overlay. HPC has approved aluminum-clad windows along this portion of Market Street at 21 Market. This was done as part of a larger renovation project that restored the structure to its previous documentation. Staff would like to enter this presentation and report in tonight's proceedings at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Megan? Megan, can you back up or even just describe for us what was the door that was in that that hinge door right there on the right? What was there prior to this one?
That was a half-light with a 9-light pattern in the light portion, in the glazed portion, sorry.
Okay.
Before we go any further, the motion that is here is not correct.
Yeah, the one part is incorrect.
Right, the beginning sentence is incorrect.
Yeah, it will just need to, you'll just need to say for the, after the fact installation of windows and storefront.
Okay.
Thank you, Joan. Any other questions for Megan? No, thank you. If the applicant is here, if they could come forward and answer any questions or offer any additional information for us?
Hi, I'm Eric Jabley, the architect, 1106 Audubon Boulevard. I want to thank you, Megan and Jessica, for your help with this. Just wanted to add, this is an interesting situation. One, the existing windows were completely rotted. There was water leakage, and so damage needed to be replaced severely. But looking back, working with Megan, looking at some of the older pictures, it's interesting to see the differences over the years, and there was no record that evidently they could find of the original state of the building. So it really brings up some interesting questions about historic preservation when you don't really know what the original building even looked like. So when you're looking at different pictures through the years, it's kind of like, why this or why that? You know, and one of the things it talks about, both in National Historic Preservation Standards as well as in some of the documents for this, is it talks about fake historical stuff and not to do fake historical stuff. And so, you know, just to do something, so it brings up some questions to that in terms of direction of how do you proceed. I know that directly across the street, there was a huge project. I think they listed it 21 Market Street with tons of aluminum windows. So, you know, aluminum windows are not historicals, but they've been allowed. So then the question is, why not fiberglass windows? You know, they actually will last longer, probably look more like wood. So I don't know why there would be a difference for fiberglass than aluminum. It's actually a really great product for windows. It holds up really well in our environment. So, you know, how you proceed with something like this, it brings up questions. I know it was recommended to bring back the dental molding, but again, the dental molding is not original. If you look at the older pictures, it wasn't there. Not in 1970, it was not there. So it was added. So again, that's, whether you like it or not, subjective. And I mean, I like it, I think it looks great, but it's not original. So it would fall under that category of fake historical. So, you know, I don't know how you proceed with what you do. So what we did, what the contractor did is tried to make it look best he could with these windows, fairly similar to what was there. So that's sort of maybe more information I needed to add. But
Yeah, Amy, are you able to show some of those historic photographs while we're doing this, or is that Megan from her computer? Do you happen to know if the new windows match the width and height of the ones that were removed? Do you know
don't
that?
think they're the
There's a
exact
photograph
same.
of the windows in a dumpster. I don't know if.
I don't think they're exact. I don't know. I didn't measure the existing ones. I came onto the project afterwards. Like that lower picture there of Victoria's, that's 1970, and that's fascinating to see. You know, totally different styles, no dental molding. And then there was even an older picture. No, I don't. I think that was the oldest picture because I couldn't make heads or tails of the time.
The National Register report does acknowledge that there were significant changes to the building circa 1925, but that it did not deter the significance of the building. And usually when there are significant changes that they incorporate into National Register descriptions, those changes are considered as important as something that would have been there historically, if that makes sense.
So in that case, with the 1970 picture,
That was when the National Register was created, so that's why that photo is dated 1970, but those are probably more closely connected to the 1925 changes. I don't know that, but that's the best documentation I can give.
and so in that case, there's no dental molding. I mean, it's almost a more modern, almost like a mid-century modern look there.
And also, aluminum windows have been used since 1921 in commercial properties.
So the dental molding on the upper windows was not there in the photograph. I'm just curious about this because I'll make this point in a minute. But that photograph where it was CD Alley,
It is there, yes.
yeah, that dental lintel, if you will, was there, but it wasn't in previous photographs. That photograph of the storefront when it was Victoria's. Victoria's, I believe. It wasn't in that photograph, okay. All right. So these Pella windows, it took a while for those things to come in. Like the windows were ordered, lead time was several weeks at least. Then did the work. Do you know why the contractor or the tenant or whomever didn't think to bring this before a commission or check with the historic preservation planner?
I cannot answer to that. I was hired afterwards, so wasn't involved with that.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, I think I might be able to answer that question. So we were told by the contractor when we issued the stop work order that he just happened to have those windows that he was trying to use on another project, and for whatever reason, someone Their story given to me was that someone fell through the windows and they needed to be replaced quickly, and he happened to have those on hand and put them in, and that's when we found out they were changing the storefront and issued the stop work order, which we then allowed them to proceed temporarily and upon approval from HPC.
Okay, thank you. If we can open up the evidentiary hearing and see if anyone has anything to say in favor or against this proposal. Seeing none, commissioners can deliberate. Yes, Joan?
I just think we've been so adamant about wood replacing wood on so many people's homes, and we've really been strict about that, that I don't see making an exception here.
But not knowing what the original material was of these windows, it's been a handful of different things, and
But
you've
it
got,
just, the most recent was wood, was it not?
most recent was, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
as Jessica said, a lot of the storefronts are wood on that block. So it seems to me that anyone can make an argument that, you know, and we've been so, that's been one of the things we're really, really strong about, is that we replace wood with wood. I have a hard time doing a one-off on that when we've been so strong about that.
Jessica, if you all brought this before we even saw it for findings of facts, would your recommendation be to go back to the original?
I'm comfortable with it being a full glass window or full light versus like divided panes, because I think those give false representation. But I'm a little concerned about them being fiberglass.
Fiberglass?
Yeah, mostly because every other building on that block has wood windows and wooden storefronts.
It looked like the windows before were not paned, that they may have been the fake.
Yes, ma'am, they were.
So that's not really what you would consider a wood paned window if they've got those fake. So it was just one piece of glass, and then they would put the fake panes in there. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it looks like.
Yes, ma'am, that's they may have been simulated divided lights and not the just like push-in ones, but
right.
yes,
Right.
they were not like actual mullioned windows.
Yeah, what was there was simulated divided light. But that's assuming that there's some problem with it being a full light window instead of having grills, dividers, or muntins in the opening. I'm sorry. Yeah, please come up. Anything to add?
I did want to add just to your comment about the wood windows. I mean, directly across the street, 21 Market Street, there's about 50 windows they have. It's a huge bank of windows, all recently replaced as aluminum windows. So,
Except that, as Jessica said, the aluminum was historic and from the 1920s.
right.
So it's different from
but
fiberglass.
you were suggesting that wood was the only, suggesting,
What I was saying was whenever we have come before us, someone who has wood windows and they're trying to replace it with fiberglass, we don't usually allow that.
gotcha. And that was, I guess, one of my first questions is why not fiberglass? But then the second question is if you are adamant against fiberglass, then would aluminum window be a reasonable option?
I don't know, I would bow to Jessica on that one.
Submit a backup plan for aluminum windows.
That would be a reasonable option. It would require, I think, another visit with you guys, but unless you guys can feel comfortable approving aluminum windows here now versus the fiberglass that are currently installed. And they should, if it was attached with the application, then it should be in that case summary. And the windows across the street at 21 Market Street were part of a restoration project to match an existing historically documented photograph.
Gotcha. But they are aluminum, right? And didn't we submit aluminum windows as a backup option?
Do you know if those are the same size as the ones that this contractor happened to have laying around his
Yes.
backyard?
I mean, he doesn't have them, they'd have to be ordered.
And I think the way it's framed, you know, you've got two king studs and a jack stud. There's really, I mean, my one knock on this installation, I don't feel like the fiberglass is appropriate. Aside from that, though, it's just like really big casework. But I think you have to keep it like that because you have two kings and a jack on each side. It kind of needs to be, that's kind of the dimension the windows really need to be. Unless they were much smaller than that opening and they just put much wider casing on there.
But I am curious the reasons why fiberglass is not preferable.
Because wood's available, and it was wood.
But if we don't, those weren't original windows though, so.
Yeah, I think historically what we've done on this commission and any commission I've been a part of coming before a commission with my own applications is if there's a wood window in projects I've done, you know, I've myriad times been kind of required to take an old horrible wood window out and put a new better wood window in. You know, even though it was like one above 24 South Coffee, those windows were installed back in the early 80s and they were falling apart. We had to put another, I'm sorry, I take that back. That was a different one. We put aluminum clad in there because we couldn't find a window that was that size. We could not get a window to match the original opening. So I am curious about this. Like, I wonder if a window can even be had from Marvin or someone, a wood window, whether it's a Koya wood or some other wood that actually can, that are sized this big. That sometimes is an issue to find a wood window that is that big. Because the material moves. It's not, it's not easy to find that wood, the durable wood.
Right.
I'm just curious, was there a aluminum window that was provided as a backup option?
There seems to be a wood-clad window included in there, but I don't have one for aluminum.
Got it.
I'm happy to work with him if you guys are comfortable with aluminum. But I need you guys to be comfortable with that.
Yeah. You know, honestly, if it's not wood, the difference between aluminum and fiberglass is it's not wood. Whether it's fiberglass or aluminum or vinyl or whatever, it's not wood. So I'm not sure what aluminum gets us as opposed to fiberglass, honestly. If it's aluminum clad particularly, not sure what that does. Ashley, you have any other thoughts on this?
I think we need some more concrete options to this and this fiberglass, which is not something that we're going to approve.
Okay, I see where that's going. So at best, this is gonna fail. So next steps, I don't know what we can do to not have this come back as a reapplication, or does this need to fail and come back as a new application?
I think the option, you could continue it, and then they could supply information for different window option, and we can present that at the next meeting.
Okay.
When we had spoken previously, you had said to have the aluminum clad window as a backup in case they didn't want the fiberglass window so that we could approve that one.
Yeah, but you didn't include that information in your documentation.
Thought I did.
It's not there.
Okay. And so we couldn't, that's not a consideration then? I can't, since it's not in there?
From what I'm interpreting is that the commission would like to see what those windows would look like in terms of size and things of that nature. So I think that it would mean that you'd need to submit that documentation. We could continue it tonight. You can submit that window and documentation to us, and then we can incorporate that into a new case summary that we present to them the following month.
Gotcha.
And also explore any wood options to the windows.
Okay.
If you can, find any wood options would,
I'm curious, would an aluminum clad window, a straw poll, like what, is an aluminum clad window, I mean, we know what an aluminum clad window is. It's a full light window and it's aluminum clad wood versus fiberglass. Everything else is gonna look identical to what they have installed. Does an aluminum clad, if we can give that tacit approval, does that even seem like it's something that we're gonna be willing to entertain, or do we want this to continue to see what some other options are? If we want to see if there's a wood available, a Marvin or something to that effect.
I would like to see the wood and more pictures of the other, again, of the other buildings on that block and compare them. But I'd like to see some wood.
and continue and
Yeah.
work with some other options for this.
So other options other than wood or just wood?
Wood, Jessica, and the aluminum clad, yeah.
I mean,
Is that what we have in a lot of buildings downtown, the aluminum and the wood?
I know that on some upper story storefront, on upper stories, there are aluminum clad windows. About storefronts, I would have to do some research into that and visit some of the storefronts to
So
confirm.
we could do aluminum on top if we wanted and wood on the storefront.
That would be HPC's decision.
I'm sorry, aluminum on top? We're talking about the
Do
upper
the
windows?
windows aluminum in the storefront? She was talking the storefront. She hasn't seen much in aluminum in a storefront, so maybe.
I would need to do the research. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what the storefront, all I know is that on that side of Market Street, all the storefronts have wooden windows. That's the only part I feel comfortable attesting to.
Understood, yeah. So I guess I would just, and you can let us know this too, but if we were to say, again, we know what a full light wood window looks like, I would assume. It's gonna look like this, but it's gonna be wood. If we were to go ahead and approve that to be done at a bypass level with the preservation plan, or is that something that would be reasonable just to go ahead and because I imagine you have a little bit of a time constraint, like this isn't painted, we're getting closer to hurricane season, you really need to get this thing done as expeditiously as possible. So is that reasonable for, I mean, is that an option that we say, as long as you guys do this in wood and it looks a full light, is that something that can be approved now? And then we can work out minor details with Jessica about the details of the wood itself, the
I think
manufacture, whatever.
I think that might be a question for Whitley. Is that an option for them if they say that through bypass we can approve wood windows? I can just do that as staff. There's no, correct, that's what you're asking, Christopher?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So I think what they're asking is that if they say they approve full light wood windows, and they're okay with me approving that at staff level, we're okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Is that, I mean, I'm curious, well, would that work for you?
Yes.
Does that work for us? If we just go ahead and say, you can go ahead and, as long as you work out a little minor detail on what the manufacturer is, and they can order that and get it installed in a month less than if they had to come back in a month.
I'm fine with that.
Ashley?
I'm fine with that too.
Okay, so if I could add too, this is a question for you. Eric, that top piece there, that drip cap, if you will, is that gonna, like, if this were approved tonight, is that drip cap gonna stay kind of?
No, I asked the contractor about that, and he said he literally was trying to do as little as possible to get it for the temporary, so that it could be put back together and waterproofed.
Yeah, so do you know, let's say this were approved and you put a new wood window in there, 3 or whatever it is, new windows, what will it look like above that, at the top of that head casing then?
Well, I would suggest to have proper flashing, metal flashing cut into the brick joint.
Okay.
Done properly where it laps over that top band board is
So-
how I would do it.
Okay, so there wouldn't be a drip cap, it would just be a head casing and Z-flashing cut into the brick that would come and cover it.
Right, and this comes back to my earlier, what I was talking about with how do you know how to proceed on something like that? Whether you try to add back dental molding or something else, because there's no precedent on what to go with. So you're basically going on what looks good. But
Right.
my thought would be to keep it as simple as possible, because the oldest photograph we have is quite simple with no elaborate trim whatsoever.
So if you, so there's a picture, if you can, I don't know if that can be zoomed, but anyway, we're going to approve them pursuing a wood frame window, but is there anything else, does everything else about this seem reasonable?
And storefront.
And storefront, yeah, with the material that's there presumably. Maybe reusing that, but is there any, are we okay with the wood, that design of the casework essentially?
Yeah.
Sir?
Vice Chair Yermal, he wasn't sworn in. I'm going to need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
If you could state your name and address, please?
Chairman, members, my name is Harper Peterson. I'm the owner of the building, and I appreciate your attention to this. I just wanted
And
to
sir, I'm sorry, your address for the record, just to keep this above.
212 Orange Street.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to clarify where we're at. You would like it presently as a fiberglass frame on the windows. The design is acceptable. But the frame, the fiberglass frame needs to be converted to a wooden frame, which would probably necessitate a custom-built frame. I don't know.
Every window's custom, really.
Yeah, at this
Unless you buy
size,
it in a Lowe's
yeah.
or Home Depot.
Again, there is some time concerns regarding where we are in the season. You pointed about hurricane season. Regardless, I'd like to get it finished and secure.
You could keep it like that. Keep it like it is. You could even caulk some joints if you feel like you need to, but you can just keep it like that and wait for these new windows to come in and then quickly just switch it out and finish the work like you did in the
Okay.
time period it took to do that in the first place. Probably less,
Right.
because there's so much
Okay.
less
I'm
damage.
sorry I'm late to
Yeah.
the show here. So fiberglass and aluminum are not acceptable.
I think that's where we're heading on this, yeah.
Okay. To ask for a continuance until you meet every month? Or-
Second Thursday of every month.
Yeah. Would that be an option, just to take a few days and I can go in a couple of different directions in terms of custom windows, but just to get that information?
If you don't mind taking up the extra month with this installed the way it is and adding that time frame.
With the time constraints, that you could work with Jessica
Yeah.
on that
Okay.
and save time instead of coming back to us.
Okay. I have faith in
that
Justin.
works.
Yeah, that works.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
And I did want to clarify, or get clarified, that you're not open to wood windows that are aluminum clad, even though across the street is covered with them?
I think to Jessica's point that was, and it's that we knew that building originally, the oldest photograph that could be found, I remember that coming before this commission, that was always aluminum, those windows across the street at 23, is it 23 Market?
21. It's 21.
21.
Thank you.
So we deny this motion and then approve?
No, I think we're approving it with conditions.
Well, we're not. That's after the fact installation. So we can't approve that. We're denying that, but then we're approving that
Oh.
they work with Jessica for wood
You're right.
windows.
I think you want to remove the first condition about the lintels, if that's what I was hearing, and then I think you would just add a condition that says, something about a bypass application for wooden windows.
So that under staff report 1 to 5, you remove 1?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to give it a
And-
shot? I move to deny the installation, I move to deny the after-effect installation.
I think we're approving it.
No, we're denying what's the after-the-fact, but then we're approving wood to work with you,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that might be a Whitley question too. I don't really know how that
Because
works.
you already have, you have after-the-fact installation, we're not agreeing with that.
That's a good question.
I think however you want to word it is fine if you are denying the after-the-fact installation, but approving wood windows in place of that. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I move to deny the after-the-fact installation of fiberglass windows and storefront, and move to approve the installation of storefront and wood storefront and windows, subject to working with Jessica to work out the details. Does that sound right?
Yes.
I second.
Well, do I have to
Wait, we
finish
have
the
to keep,
rest?
yeah, there's more.
Details are shown on the drawings,
Not
plan.
done. Oh.
Details are shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and supplemental materials, and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in the staff report numbers 2 to 5. The proposed request does not comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for historic landmarks and districts and landmarks, is not compatible with the materials, features, design, tech, context, and character of the historic building and historic district in which it is located, and is not congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the central business historic district overlay. However, the wood storefront and wood windows would be so compliant. Applicable design standards, 1.6 Secretary of the Interior standards, standards 1 to 6 and 9, 3.2 exterior walls, standards 1 to 6, 3.3 doors and windows, standards 1 to 12.
Second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion
Who
passes.
seconded that? I'm sorry.
Ally?
Oh, thank you.
You. And then agenda item 3 for 111 Ann Street. Megan.
The subject property is located on the north side of Ann Street between South Front and South Second Streets and is a non-contributing resource in Historic District residential. Revisions of a building and the site are subject to design review in this district. 111 Ann Street was built in 1977 and is a two-story, two-bay wide attached townhouse with a gabled roof and a brick exterior. The neo-colonial revival style front entry features fluted piers and denticulated cornice. The 1/1 sash windows have louvered shutters on the front and eastern side facades. The applicant proposes to remove the existing wood balcony from the rear north facade. The existing balcony is located on the first story. The applicant also proposes to construct an addition with a roof deck in the same location. The proposed addition will be 9 feet deep by 19 feet wide. The proposed addition will be constructed on 6-inch by 6-inch posts with 3-foot by 3-foot concrete footings with exposed 2-inch by 2-inch wood joists, 2-inch by 8-inch wood joists, and an LVL beams running perpendicular to the dwelling. The proposed addition will be clad in hardy board. The applicant did not submit the hardy board reveal dimensions. Sorry. Not sure why all of a sudden that's so much louder. For Reliabuilt 150 series single hung 1/1 vinyl sash windows will be installed on the rear north facade, and 2 Reliabuilt 150 series single hung 1/1 vinyl sash windows will be installed on the side east facade. A roof deck will be constructed on top of the addition and will be clad with a TPO waterproof membrane and pitched 1/4 inch over 12. The roof deck will have a wooden handrail that will be 36 inches in height with a 2x4 bottom rail and a 2x6 top rail with 2x2 spindles. Staff notes that the addition and the roof deck are partially visible from Ann Street. Staff also notes that there are several additions of similar style in the same row of townhomes, but could not confirm if the other additions had roof decks. Staff asks that a condition be added that the roof deck will not exceed the height of the existing dwelling. Staff would like to enter this presentation and report in tonight's proceedings at this time.
Thank you, Megan. Are there any questions for Megan on this item? Clarification? Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Carlos Gonzalez with Legacy Renovations. We're representing Mrs. Fogel at 111 Ann Street.
Good evening. Do you have anything to add
I do
to this? Okay. Any questions for the applicant specifically? No? Okay. All right. I think we're pretty clear. Thank you. Are there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this proposal or against it? Seeing none, commissioners can deliberate over this item. Anyone like to start?
On.
My issue is that I have no idea what this is going to look like. I mean, there's nothing about the reveal of the hardy plank. I don't know what that's going to look like. It could be a 12-inch hardy plank. The LVL beams are covered by what? There's no exterior elevation. I don't know what, how they terminate that roof, that TPO. Maybe there's some questions actually you could answer. I mean, that might help, but the application, I see you have an engineer that designed it, but we don't know what this is going to look like. And then also, it's noted in the plan here that you're using wood grain lap siding. Is that the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We were hoping to match the surrounding properties.
And that's wood grain, right?
I believe that blue one is.
Okay. So, I mean, what is it going to look like? It's hard to... the only elevation we see, like we see the neighbors, but like what are you using to wrap the beam? So you've got these girders.
We were not going to wrap the beams. If you go back to the other page, you see that it's bare wood, or the post, I mean.
Do you know where that is? Whoever's operating this? You saying there's a...
So they're 6x6s. They're just painted.
So the hangers, it's just, you're painting LVLs and all this stuff? Is that right? Do I understand?
Yes, sir. If you look at that yellow one, it's exposed wood, and they just painted the same color as the siding.
Is the yellow one in this photograph, is that the one on the left?
Yes, sir.
So it's going to look just like this, except you're going to have 1/1 windows?
Yes, sir.
But not the brackets, because it doesn't overhang.
No corbels.
Nothing overhangs like that.
No.
I mean, I don't have any objection to the pursuit of this. I just don't know what it's going to look like. It's hard. I worry that at some point someone's going to come back. There's a potential for someone to take this to Board of Adjustment or further than that, just because it wasn't, we approved something that we have a hard time discerning what the finished product is going to look like. It's just, I apologize, like, it was just really hard to tell.
No,
I don't have enough.
Will this be something I could work out with Mrs. Jessica through a bypass? Or would I have to come back next month?
Why come back, huh? Continue it.
Or continue it.
I would say continue to have working drawings just to protect the owner.
Right. Just some additional detail, because we can't tell. I mean, it's laudable that you've got some design here, and you have, an engineer that specified some things, but to see, like, again, we don't know, we just don't have any information. The reveal of, will the reveal be like a 6-inch, maybe, or?
I believe the Hardy lap siding comes in 7 1/4, and that would leave us with 6 1/2, I believe.
6 1/2, okay. All right. I don't think there's going to be, ultimately an objection to this thing and the basis of this thing getting installed and built, but we just don't have any detail to know how it's going to finish. I think I still don't understand the girder if you're just painting and you've got you're painting the hangers and things like that. It just isn't enough information, that's all.
Yes, sir.
And so if it could be continued, if you don't find that objectionable, just protect everyone, really.
I would very much so prefer to go with Mrs. Jessica, just because we've been waiting on this project for so long. I would really prefer to move forward on it.
To continue it, you mean?
Could
Or
we do a
like
bypass?
try to get it, okay, so to
bypass.
continue it, to continue it to next month, that's what we're talking about, because
When she needs the information and to be able to be available, be next month. What's the deadline for next month, Jessica?
Well, it's continued. We can work with him to get that information in a reasonable time. It doesn't require the same submission deadlines as a new project.
Okay.
So we're asking just for some embellishment on what you have here.
Yes, sir.
Work on top of the drawing, but it would require that you come back here in a month.
Yes, sir.
Present what you have at that point and let us see kind of how it's going to finish out, basically.
Okay.
A little more info.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do we need a motion? Move to continue
And
item number 3?
Next month's meeting is on June 13th.
Okay.
Move to continue
I
item
may be,
3.
and I'm the only one talking about this. Am I the only one that has the concern? We can keep going with deliberation and maybe we vote to approve it like it is,
I think you're right. I think it's always
Yeah, I
best to
think you're
have
right.
working drawings, just to protect the homeowner.
I agree.
So is there a motion I'll make a motion. I make a motion to continue this until the next meeting, June 13th. Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Any items from commission? Beyond what we've done tonight? Any other items? No? No stories? Anyone from staff, any other additional items? No. Nothing recorded. Okay, with that, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.